Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Unscripted. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Who is producing the show? Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Unscripted, and our show today is Dr. Jacalyn Unscripted. So if you've never joined us before, we don't use any scripts here at USA Global TV and Radio. So what is different about this show? Well, there's no topic. I have no idea where this conversation is going to go. So sit back and relax and join us. I'm going to welcome my first guest for this pilot episode. He is one of our team members here at USA Global TV and Radio. His name is Roland Friedl, and he is not only a TV show host of shows in English, but also shows in German. And he's also our producer of a number of shows. He's a mentor, he's a coach, he's an author, and he is here with us today. Let's welcome him to the program. Hello, Roland. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. Great to see you. Thanks for having me. I'm fine. Hello to all the audience. Thank you. I'm in a storm. Actually, it's shaking a little bit. And the funny thing is, when my cursor is on one of the buttons, it automatically pushes it because it's shaking so heavy.
Well, it is unscripted, so that's okay. We'll go with that. So, Roland, as you may or may not know, because this is the first show, we're not actually pushing anything here today. We're not actually on track with any specific topic. You and I haven't discussed this. I just asked you to be my first guest. So I kind of would like to just start off with the fact that there's different things going on in the world, and depending on where you are, you're obviously aware of some and maybe not aware of others, but you travel the world and you're living in an RV. So let's just start off with the fact that right now you're in an RV and there's a major storm and your whole vehicle is shaking. I mean, what's up with that? How does that feel?
Well, actually, I would say I kind of used to it because I came here. I'm for our audience, I'm in Sicily it's an island in Europe, south of Italy. It belongs to Italy, so I'm very close to Tunisia border, to Africa. And I came here, I guess, on the 8th of November, so I'm almost more than 5 months here. And it's my 4th or 5th storm, I don't remember. So this winter is really, really stormy. Luckily, it's not raining. It's very, very warm outside. It's very hot outside. It feels like when you go outside, you see my microphone is shaking because my microphone is moving back. Yeah, I feel like on a cruise ship, to be honest, on a boat. But when you go outside, it feels like when you're using a hairdryer. It's very warm wind coming, very strong. It's about 60 miles fast or something like that.
So you also, I think, have been there when there's been a cyclone. Isn't that right?
Yes, we had a cyclone in December. Yes, absolutely.
Well, while we just are on subject about this, I've never even been in an RV. Okay. I know during the pandemic, there were many people who thought, okay, let me sell my house. And by the way, you were on Mallorca. You had a beautiful place. You were doing yoga retreats there. What's it like living in an RV? I can't even imagine it, even though you and I have been doing shows together for probably 5 years now. What's it like being in that RV as opposed to being in that big house when you were in Mallorca?
Well, what the difference is the freedom. It's the freedom of moving around wherever you want to be. That's the point. Because, in a house or in an apartment, you're just on a location, or maybe you have a second house or a first house. You can move in, or you can also go in a hotel. But living in an RV is 100% freedom. Moving where you just want to be, switching between regions, countries, seaside, mountains, lakeside, whatever you want. It's 100% freedom. but it has, of course, some challenges. And I think the first challenges that most people don't think about is you always take yourself with you. So when you have some problems with yourself or whatever, with your business or with your partner, you bring this with you. That's one thing. The second thing is sometimes it's difficult to find a good spot, but I love 100% freedom. But I have to say, it was not my plan. I'm now 4 years full-time in remote, and this was not my plan. My plan was, when I left Mallorca, to travel around in my RV for 1 year and then find a spot in Portugal. But I had so much fun on traveling around that I said, okay, forget Portugal, stay in my RV. There's so many good spots. But it's different. It's the freedom. It's one thing, moving around. And the secondly is, for the ladies or for also for the men who are running a large house or apartment, cleaning is done in 5 minutes.
Well, that's a good thing. I love that. So I want to get into it a little bit. You have this freedom. And by the way, to me, sometimes freedom can equal peace, right? We can be at peace because we don't have to answer to a lot of people. And I love that. You know, I'm on my own. I don't have anyone to answer to, pretty much. And the same thing with you. And at the same time, there could be a downside to that, not for me or for you, but for people out there. And let's just get into it, which it could be the loneliness, the isolation. And sometimes you can be in a crowded room and feel totally alone. Have you ever felt that way?
100%, Dr. Jacalyn. 100%. You can feel alone even in a partner when you're married or in a partnership. You can be, as you mentioned, feel alone in a huge crowd, or when you're joining a huge get together in business or whatever, or a huge party with friends or family. 100%. Actually, I love to be alone. I love to be alone, but it's not the same like being lonely. So I love to be alone because I was always in a long-term relationship since I'm 17 years old. I'm from 17 to 57. So you can imagine 40 years, always in a long-term relationship, twice married. And in the beginning, it was a shock for me, to be honest. But I learned to be by myself, and I really appreciate to be myself and have time for myself and be clearer. What is my truth? What is my belief system? Where you want to go? What's the next year's coming? What I want to do in business? What I do in private? So I absolutely love it. I'm in a partnership again since a few weeks. But this break of 4 years was the best that could ever happen to me, to be honest. It was the best that could ever happen to me. And of course, when you travel alone in like myself with my dog in RV, sometimes you feel a little bit lonely. But on the other hand, it may sound a little bit harsh, but I was thinking, okay, a few moments I feel lonely. Am I willing to pay the price for a partnership that is not working, for a relationship that's not really working, with a lot of arguing, just not to feel lonely in a few moments? I said, no. I had a happy life for 4 years, to be honest. And for me, it was an amazing journey about myself, 100%.
Roland, I love this. And you and I have a number of things in common. We've met in person and sort of solidified the fact that we have the same mentality in a lot of ways. And yet I've met people, you've met people, maybe it's been us in past lives. They cannot be alone. And even when they're alone, they've got to have the music on. They've got to have the TV on. I don't have that. I really like the silence. So for you, are you someone, you need something in the background that's going on, or you're kind of like, you know what, just give me peace and quiet and I'll figure it out?
Well, I don't have a TV set here. I'm producing TV. I don't have a TV set.
TV show host with no TV. I love it.
TV set. The funny thing is, when I bought the motorhome I ordered it in 2017, and then I had to wait a year to wait they constructed. They asked me how about our audio system and some speakers and stuff like that, and I said no. And they said, are you sure? Because afterwards it's a little bit more expensive and difficult to plug in. I said no, and still I don't miss it. So even when I'm driving, most of the time I don't listen to music. When I drive my motor, I be so in the present moment, looking around the landscape, because I avoid highways. I get small roads, going through small villages, finding maybe a nice cafe for a stopover, or maybe a farmhouse where I can buy some eggs or stuff like that. So even when I'm driving, most of the time I don't watch or listen to any music, to be honest. I listen music in the morning. I have a song that's I love when I have my coffee after my dog walk. It's called Jesus in My Coffee. It's a gospel.
Jesus in My Coffee?
Jesus and My Coffee. Yes, Jesus and My Coffee. That's what I listen every morning, and I dance with my coffee cup in the morning after my dog walk. No, I don't distract myself, to be honest. Of course, I'm on social media because I'm posting about my business, about the shows and stuff like that. But no, I'm not distracted by social media or listening to music or whatever. No, I love to be by myself. And maybe this may sound a little bit harsh for some people, but I think that people who can't be by themselves without being distracted, I strongly believe they don't really live.
So they're kind of confining themselves. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're always reacting on other circumstances, listening to music, they're always reacting. They're not in the driver's seat. You know what I mean?
I do.
They're not in the driver's seat of their own life because they're always reacting to something. They hear something, they see something, they do something, They don't really live. They believe that they live because they see it, they're very active. They're doing something, they're listening to something, they're watching something or whatever. But that's not life.
Yeah, I love that you brought this out. The other thing is, you and I both exercise. I will go to the gym and I'll get there early so that I can get ready to take this class. And what I'll see is that people are listening to something in their ears. Then the class starts and the coach is talking and the person's still listening to whatever they were listening to. So they're actually not present in the class.
Yeah.
So I think to myself, is it that hard and again, I have no judgment, but is it that hard to be present? And I brought this up before. I've been to classes where people actually stop to look at Instagram. I'll be like, oh my gosh, like you're scrolling through, like, I don't know. I don't get it. It must just be hard to be present. Maybe that's the point. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for most of the people, or especially for the younger ones, it's very difficult to stay focused on one thing, to focus and be concentrated on one thing. Because, there's always something, noise around, pictures around, stuff is moving. I remember when I was the last time in New York City, I guess it's around 10 years ago or 9 years ago. I don't remember exactly when I was the last time in New York City, on Times Square, with all these video screens around. And that, of course, your eyes are following. And even when when I've been living in Spain, when you go to a bar or a coffee shop in Spain, they always this TV screen. And even I'm not interested in what they're showing, automatically you look at it because something is moving. That's how our brain is working. Yeah? So we recognize there's a movement. You look what it is. So people are not used anymore, and I see it especially with kids. We're always on their on their tablets or their smartphones. They always need movement and noise around. They're always distracted. They cannot focus anymore. It's difficult for them to stay focused on one task. Starting a task and finishing a task is very difficult for most of the people.
Yeah, it's true. And I've shared this before, and you know this. So today is day 85, no alcohol, no sugar. And when I first started this, I'm going to segue back to what you were talking about. I kind of thought there's going to be some major transformation. I'd be like, look at me. I can go on the cover of 63 Years Old Weekly, but I didn't actually see that. I haven't seen it. But what I have seen and what I really have observed is my focus and my clarity. And instead of having high highs and low lows, I'm pretty much like this. And I for the last, I guess, few years since my mom died almost 3 years ago, I've always been about finding the solution. Whereas a lot of other people that I interact with are highly emotional, and the emotions are always the emotions are always forefront. And the explanation is, well, I need to let my emotions out. I need to just let it be, which I'm not saying that that's a good way or not a good way, but in business, you got to get things done, right? You've got to find solutions. So what I would say is, for me, giving up sugar and giving up wine has really helped me become more focused. So do you think there are some things that we do, that we ingest, or that we surround ourselves with that really prohibit us from being as focused as we can be?
100%. As you mentioned, it's alcohol, it's food, it's like sugar, it's carbs. And it makes us, how to say, is it numb or dumb?
Numb.
Yeah, 100%. Man, I'm in Italy here, and sometimes I enjoy a good pizza, or sometimes I enjoy a pasta, which is carbs. Yeah, and afterwards it's really difficult for me, not first of all not falling asleep, and secondly after a few hours really staying focused on what I want to do. It's 100%. It's nutrition, 100%. It's nutrition. It's one thing. It's alcohol. Is the other thing. It's and the other thing is we are distracted by, as I said, social media and all this stuff. Yeah, but food has a huge impact on how we stay focused. 100%, 100%. I go carnivore most of the time, so I avoid carbs most of the time. I have them every second week, like I said, a pizza or a pasta, something like that, or a small some ice cream. But the rest of the days, I'm carnivore. I'm 100% zero carb, and it feels just great, just great. I'm so focused. I have so much energy. What I see the difference is when I'm eating around 11 a.m. and around normally 5-6 p.m. Today we said we're gonna have a later lunch. A later lunch. Actually, it's almost a dinner after our show. It's 8 p.m. down here. But anyway, it's some light stuff. It's just for me. It's just meat. And what I see is when I eat zero carbs, I feel fully energized. No matter how much I eat, I feel fully energized. Even when I eat less, but there's carbs involved, I'm tired. My body's reacting on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I want to share something that I hope will help other people as well, which is I have a protein shake every morning and I make it myself. And in there obviously is protein. And when I went to buy the protein again, there's 4 different kinds of protein, but they all have the same packaging. It's all white with black letters. And I happen to pick up a different one of the 4. I've been getting whey, WHEY, and I picked up the vegan. And what I found, so I've been doing the whey for over a year, probably a year and 2 months. I put blueberries with some peanut butter, almond milk, and then greens and collagen peptides. And then, so all of a sudden, last month, my stomach was killing me. When I tell you killing me, I was getting these horrible pains. And I thought, that's weird because thank God it's not ulcerative colitis, but I can't go on like this. And after 3 weeks, looking into the pantry, and I looked and I said, you know what? You bought the wrong kind of protein. You bought the vegan protein, which is pea protein. So my point is just that one switch made a major impact on my physicality. So when you're in pain because you're eating something that doesn't agree with your system, that's a warning. And what I really feel now, and I'd love your opinion on it, after someone who drank Chardonnay for probably 35 years, I just gave it up without any problem. And what I realize now is that 35 years of drinking alcohol, that has an impact on your body. So if I thought I was going to go from looking one way to looking completely different, that's ridiculous because your body still has 35 years of alcohol in there that it had to process.
100%. What is today is Sunday. Thursday, I had a chocolate bar. I get a chocolate bar. Somebody gave me a chocolate bar, a really good one with nuts. And I had 2 coffees in the chocolate bar. And afterwards, I wanted to go for a walk with my dog. I had so much pain in my stomach, so much pain. I said, "What is it? Did I eat something wrong?" Yeah, it was chocolate and coffee.
And the nuts maybe too.
Yeah, and nuts maybe too. And I said, "Oh my gosh!" Yeah, of course, it was a huge bar, a lot of sugar intake. And I said, "Okay, my stomach is reacting." And then some of the other campers said, because I said, "You go like this, what happened? I have so much pain." I said, "Hey, I can give you some medicine." I said, "No, I don't want a medicine."
No, we don't.
I said, "What is your plan to do?" I said, "Okay, I don't eat anymore what I had eaten before." And that's the point. True. Most people eat something wrong and then they take a medicine instead of stopping eating what they had.
People forget, we forget as humans, we have to get to the root cause of whatever it is. And our dear friend Red O'Loughlin always talks about that. And something else that I think is interesting is we expect that everything's going to be perfect and it's going to go our way. in terms of our longevity and what we look like and what our blood tests are. I know you don't get blood tests there, but you don't particularly. But if we're not doing what we need to do on a regular basis, on a daily, then how can we expect something? It's like if you go to take a test and you have no knowledge of the subject, you've done no reading, no research, and you're going to go in and you're probably not going to do well unless you happen to be a genius. So I think what we're really talking about here is making choices that make sense. And when your body is reacting a certain way, pay attention to it. Don't just put something else in your body, because now your body has to process that on top of what it's already processing.
100%. And I want to add that we also have to educate ourselves, because most medical doctors, they have no idea about nutrition. They have no idea about the cause and effect from nutrition or alcohol on the food, on our body, on our well-being. And I have some very good friends who are doctors. They're actually very good ones. And they told me, Roland, during our studies in the university, it was 2 or 3 hours about nutrition. We have no idea. They know about nutrition because they did their own research, and I did my own research. Because most medical doctors have no idea, and what I see is most people are just repeating what they heard. Like, I don't know, breakfast is the healthiest meal of the day. That's not true. 100 years ago, we had no breakfast. There was no breakfast. Breakfast was invented by the cereal industry in the 1950s. There was no breakfast before. It's not true, and different stuff like that. I think we just have to educate ourselves and try it out, and don't listen to others who have an interest that they want to sell us supplements or pharmaceuticals or any treatments. And this brings us back from your question, we're living in a motorhome, the freedom means self-responsibility. And when you want to be free of any illness, when you want to be free of any whatever, it's taking self-responsibility.
Yeah, it's so true. And this is a great point. We tell ourselves stories. I tell myself a story. It's kind of like you tell yourself the story that's what you want to hear so that you can do what you want to do, so you feel justified. And when you live alone, like I live by myself, you live by yourself, at least now you do. And we tell ourselves things because there's no one to call us out on it. So we have to basically monitor ourselves and say, listen, that's not the case. Like a story I used to tell myself during the pandemic, I've got a spin bike. It's actually right here in the corner. And I used to ride the bike. I taught spin for a long time. So I know what to do. You put the music on, you're up, you're down, use your arms, you have the weights. But I'd be eating chocolate chip cookies while I'm spinning. And the chocolate chip cookies were really thick and they had a lot of chocolate chips in them. And so I would say to myself, like I'm watching my Apple Watch to see how many calories I'm burning. Then I'm reaching for the cookie. And I would say to myself, it's okay because I'm exercising. And the bottom line is it's not okay. Like you can't possibly burn off enough calories during that session to get rid of 3 chocolate chip cookies. But I felt good telling myself, I didn't feel so guilty.
100%, most people step into this trap, especially those the beginners who start working out the first time, they get exhausted, they're tired, they get hungry, and then they eat even more than before because they thought, I did my workout, because they underestimate the calories intake and they overestimate the calories to burn.
It's true. It's so true. And by the way, here's another thing which drives me crazy. It's like, you and I have interviewed hundreds of thousands, whatever many people, and people will tell you a story. And here's one that people lead with. Oh, I don't drink. I haven't had a drink in years. And later you find out they're smoking pot, they're vaping, they're doing cocaine. I'm like, okay, like there's no judgment, but don't act like you're so much better than everyone because now you have your outlet of how you're doing things. It's very hard to do things completely sober without some kind of crutch. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, drinking is for old people. The youngsters that they're on cocaine or stuff like that.
Right, exactly.
I'm loving because about 30 years back, when I was in my end 20s, my 30s, I remember I started my first businesses, and friends of mine, they became managers in, IBM. I don't know if this company is still existing. They're starting for a company like IBM, this computer company, and they had this. They had to make a certain quarter sales, and then they got a Porsche or Ferrari or stuff like that. And all these guys have been on cocaine just to work 20 hours or stuff like that, and I was enjoying a glass of wine, and they told me, "Hey, wine is for beginners. You have to try this white snow." And I said, "No, thank you, thanks a lot." That's why I was smiling, because a lot of people are on drugs, and especially highly educated people in management, or doctors, or especially people under pressure. I know a lot of famous cooks here in Europe who have problems with drugs and stuff like that because they are under pressure. Yeah, 100%. So people are. Some are drinking, some are taking drugs, some are taking pills, some are just eating, or some are just on a sugar trip or whatever. Yeah, it is true. But I think that the problem with all this addiction is that people don't see it, that they are addicted to it. They think we always believe that we have everything under control, but it's not. It's 100% not. We don't think we have control
everything.
Yeah.
So I love what you just said. And I think some people might be listening, they might be offended about that. But again, it's what is the story that you're telling yourself? And if the story you're telling yourself is to make yourself feel better, well, what if it wasn't about that? What if it was just getting down to the basics? Okay, am I happy? How many times do we ask ourselves that? How happy am I on a scale of 1 to 10? And if you're not really happy, look at what the source of that is that's causing the upsetment. Are you doing anything about it? We've talked about this before on other shows, but sometimes people will be in a relationship, it's completely dysfunctional. Anyone from the outside can see it and go, well, I don't want to spend an hour with those two. But the people don't see it. And then when you have a conversation, it's kind of like, well, this is what I saw growing up. This is all I know. I can't imagine anyone loving me. This is the way the person loves me. That's how they express themselves. And so it's a story that we tell ourselves. And you mentioned about educating ourselves.
100% actually. A lot of my friends, they're well educated, they're, have highly paid jobs or run their business. And when you ask them, are you happy? They always say, yeah, I'm okay. And I ask them, what do you mean by I am okay? I said, yeah, my business is running more or less. I'm making some good money. I have a nice house. I have a nice vacation. My wife is still living with me or stuff like that. I said, huh? I guess most people don't understand the word happiness. They say, okay, everything is there, material stuff is there, I'm okay. And then when you sit with them together in the evening and you're enjoying a nice dinner, and I enjoy a glass of wine, they're enjoying, I don't know what to say, they're enjoying. They have 2 bottles. And when I ask them, what are you doing? Isn't it too much? He says, no, I'm used to it.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean by I'm used to it? Yeah, I have it every day. And then I said, and you tell me you're happy? What are you covering with the alcohol? What are you covering?
Exactly.
I have so many friends for outside. Everything looks shiny, but they're having 2 bottles of wine every single day. These are more than 700 bottles a year.
Plus, think about how much money that is.
Yeah, I mean, money is not an issue for them, but and then sometimes, their wives came to me and said, Roland, can you talk to him? And he drinks less. I said, no, I'm not his therapist. The question is why. It's not the drinking. The question is why somebody is drinking. It's never about the drug itself. We say, we have a saying in German. In German, addiction, the German word for addiction is Sucht. Yeah, Sucht. It's S-U-C-H-T, Sucht. And we say it's Suche. It's a combination, Suche nach Liebe. So what it means is I'm looking for love. I'm looking for being seen. I'm looking for being heard. I'm looking for being acknowledged. That's what we say is an addiction. So the question is always, what do I cover? What is not okay for me in my life? Well, I've never been accepted by my parents, by my dad, by my partner, or whatever. And that's what addiction is about. But most people think they have it under control, but they don't have it. And as I said, 1 glass of wine or maybe 2 is enjoying. The rest is just being numb. That's the truth. But the question is, what's the root cause of it?
Yeah, what's underneath it? I had a client a few years ago who was, in their words, addicted to sex, and they wanted to have sex 3, 4, 5 times a day. And if they weren't with someone, it was by themselves. And so it took a long time to finally get to the root cause of what it was. And what this person said was, that's the only way that I feel like I'm loved. It's very interesting.
I was the same in my 20s and my 30s. Yes.
So you can
100%.
relate to what I'm saying. Can you give like a little bit of information to our audience if you don't mind? Like why,
Well,
when you say that's how you felt.
I was sex addicted, 100%. And my second wife brought me to a therapist. And by the way, it was a funny meeting because I told, because I came, actually, I didn't want to go to a therapist. You know, a man in my 40s, you know, a lot of power, making money. I don't a therapist. Because we in Europe, you know, I know the Americans, they have 3 or 4 therapists. We in Europe, no, not one. So for a man, it's a kind of being weak to go to a therapist. Anyway. So, you know, I was engaged with my second wife, and I said, okay, it's important for her to go there. So she left, and after 14 minutes or 15 minutes, I said, okay, maybe it's good in the beginning. So I followed her with my car. I went to this house. They already had a conversation, and this lady, she's very famous, been writing a lot of books. She looked at me, and I know when somebody is inhaling, they are coming with something out, and maybe it's an accusation. And she was inhaling and said, stop, you don't have to say anything. But would you like to have a man like me in the 40s full of power? And actually, my current girlfriend is the same. I said, what the hell? Like you're 61 and still full of power. Now, but coming back to your question, yes, I was addicted to it. And to be honest, I was like a junkie. So I was searching for sex, and it was easy for me to get one. It was so easy for me to find girls in bars. It was very easy. But afterwards, I felt always very dirty. I really was ashamed of myself. I couldn't look myself in the mirror, but it was an addiction. And I found out, without a therapist, by myself, I found out I never got the love from my parents, from my dad, and from my mom. I didn't trust women, not at all, 100% not. I didn't trust them in the beginning because, you know that I've been sexually abused for many, many years, and my mom always brought me to this couple. So I didn't trust my mom. I didn't trust women in the beginning. And it was not the sex itself, or, you know, the jerking or whatever you want to call it. It was not that. I just felt good that somebody holds me in their arms. This was the addiction, yeah. Being seen, being held. This was my addiction, but finally I realized what I'm looking for, or what is the gap I'm trying to fill, and so I could heal myself. But I was addicted, yes, in my 20s and 30s, 100%. Yeah. Well,
I really appreciate your honesty and your transparency with that, and I think just to take that a step further, because it is unscripted and unfiltered, there are plenty of people out there. I mean, I've said to myself, you know what, it would be nice if I could have a hug. It would be nice. You know, there's no one to give me a hug. And I have thought about that. And I know there's a whole business of hugging where you can hire someone to hug you. I mean, there's always someone to do something. But if you are used to being treated a certain way as a child, and as you grow up and you don't feel that love, and you want to feel valued, you want to feel loved, you want to feel important, you want to feel needed. You know, it's not until we get to be older where we realize, you know, we have to find that from within. But the case in point is, you know, I can sit here and go like this all day. That's not the same thing as somebody actually giving me a hug. Now, to your other point, if it's the wrong person giving you a hug, that can be equally just as damaging. It's like every time someone touches you, you're like, oh, get away from me, right? But that goes on in the world. So what would you say to somebody out there who doesn't feel loved? I mean, people search for love all the time when we can find it within.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point, you know. A lot of people are talking about self-love, you know, always in this new age area, stuff like that. The question is, what is self-love? It's self-acceptance. In the beginning, I guess it's all about self-acceptance. That's what I had to learn, to accept myself like who I am and what I am, and with all my strengths and also my weakness, you know. And I know I was always a shiny person, you know, a good-looking guy, a handsome guy, but within I was not really balanced, you know. I have a lot of self-doubts and stuff like that. But I had to learn to accept myself like I am. I said, okay, I have some good points and I have some dark sides in myself. I have to accept them. And and it's good like it is. It's good like it is. I was always driven to be perfect. Always driven to be perfect, because I thought when I'm perfect, finally, I get the acceptance of my parents or something like that. That was always in my mind. But I found out that it will never be enough. It will never ever be enough. So I have to accept like I am, and finding peace with myself. And when I found peace with myself, I was really open for a relationship. Because I met hundreds of women. I'm not proud of it, hundreds of them, but I was not able for a relationship. Of course, I'm married and had kids. It happened by accident, but I was not able to really open myself in a relationship. It just happened the last years, and I'm a 100% different person. I live a monogam life, so I'm not interested anymore in hanging around and stuff like that, because I know it's bad, not in a religious point, but it's when you connect with somebody, it's also an interchange of energy. And I didn't know that in the energy, you're getting this energy from the person, and you get also the energy from the person this person met before, and so on and so on. And you never have control about what kind of energy you get. So to answer your question, it's about learning yourself to love yourself. What does this mean? It's not egoism or whatever, or narcissism. It's about self-acceptance. It's about self-acceptance, and so you are like you are, and it's not good, not bad. It's you are, and yeah, and started from there. I think every day the sun goes up in the morning, and there's a new chance every single day we can decide to start a new life, 100%. And this is not it's not something very loud or something very exciting. It's small things that they're gonna change you. I think it's the small things.
I agree with everything that you said. I think for me, if I were to say to you, if I were to just meet you and go, wow, you're really handsome, you're a sexy man, like, this already, you're handsome, you're sexy. Maybe you're looking for something more. Maybe you want someone to actually take the time to get to know you and say, you know what, you got a great heart, or I love the way your mind works, or whatever the case may be. I know with me, I always wanted people to overlook my physical looks, and I wanted them to notice my intelligence. And I really found that was a problem through my corporate career, because it would be like, oh, she's so pretty, or she's so this, or she comes from a good family. And I just wanted people to say, you know what, she's got a good head on her shoulders. And when I retired in 2020, I thought I had absolutely zero creative skills whatsoever. And now in my journey as an entrepreneur, I have a ton of creative skills. And I think, well, they probably were there before, but I didn't feel like anyone that I'm going to take responsibility. I didn't feel comfortable even tapping into that. And then I'll leave this subject with this, because I'd really like your opinion on this. I have ulcerative colitis. I've had it for 35 years. It is a disgusting disease. There is no doubt about it. I've been on dates. I've had guys call me dirty and disgusting as soon as I tell them that I have ulcerative colitis. Thank God I've never gotten sick in front of a guy on a date. But the point is, it's still in my mind. And I don't know that will ever go away. So what I've decided, I'm celibate, and I've decided I will be celibate until I die, because the ulcerative colitis can come back again. So I say to myself, and I'm saying it to you, and I'm putting it out here since unscripted, is this something that can be overcome? I do have a disease. It is a disgusting disease. It is possible, and most likely it will come back. And so I don't want to put anyone through that, because I don't believe anyone will stay around, because no one in the past has stayed around. So I feel safe, and my truth is my own, that by being celibate, I don't have to deal with any of those things.
Well, I mean, Jacalyn, when you meet somebody and you think I don't like the term perfect fit. What is a perfect fit? And you said, okay, there's, you're on the same level, and you have an open conversation about who you are or what it is. And then the other, because with my new partner, she said in the beginning, she was really scared at the beginning, because I opened my heart 2-3 days, and I told her everything about my past. And I never did it before. I told everything. And she was overwhelmed. I said, okay, this is who I am. You can handle it or not. I just want to be open to you. That's me. That's the good side. That's the bad side. take it or leave it. It's up to you. But I want to be honest from the beginning, and I'm not hiding anything from you. And you're gonna manage it or not. But so I think it's the best way. We're not in our 15 or 17 years old. This how to say. We have this love bubbles and falling in love and it's more about building a relationship on the same level, on the same eye, having an open conversation, and there are men outside that said, okay, yeah, it is like it is, let's go, why not?
Yeah, but I think the difference between what you said and what I said is you're talking about the past, but ulcerative colitis is my present and it's my future because there's no cure for it. So my point being, I do think we can get these ideas into our head and it's very hard to get rid of them. So we come up with tactics, maybe that's why I drank Chardonnay. I don't know. I was also raped. Maybe that's why, who knows? I don't know. But now that I'm not drinking, not eating sugar, and I'm completely in control of my diet, I see things from a different perspective. And I say to myself today, April 12th, I don't have to be with anyone to be happy. I'm okay just the way that I am. And that's not like a booby prize or taking 12th place in a contest. You know what I'm saying? So That's how I feel. What are your thoughts?
100%. I was happy the last 4 years. I was really happy. As I mentioned before, it was one of the best times I've had in my life, to be by myself and know myself much better, and really have time for myself. What is my truth? What I really want in life? Do I live my own life or do I live somebody else's expectations? Because I thought that the last years I always was living somebody else's expectations, my parents' expectations, my partner's expectations, my teacher's expectations, maybe the government or whatever. But I said, no, stop it. I'm a free person. I love freedom. Is the highest value for me. I'm changing everything, and I go by myself. And I know that it was difficult to find a partner that because on the road I always met some girls or some ladies, not problem. But after 2 months, they always said, "Yeah, you don't want to settle down." I said, "No, I told you, I'm living in a motorhome. I love to not settling down." It was always the same. In the beginning, they said, "Yeah, cool, a cool guy, adventure. This, and then you want to settle down." So. And then by chance, and I didn't expect it, it came in somebody who is also living in a camper, actually not a camper, in a caravan, and it happened.
Yeah, you're going to see where it goes. And by the way, we do have a comment because this is unscripted, so I'm going to answer the comments. We have a comment from Crip Blue 973. Y'all swing. No, I am not a swinger. What about you? No. And Jacalyn, do you date black guys? I'm not dating anyone. I've chose to be celibate. Would I date a black guy? Yeah, sure. Why not? I would date a black guy, but I'm not dating anyone. So thanks for the questions. We appreciate it. So Roland, we're coming to the end of the show, which it's gone by so fast. I really want to tell you, it's fun. You and I have been doing TV shows together for, 5 or 6 years. It's been quite a journey, and it's fun just not to have any topic and just talk about whatever it is. So I love your feedback. How do you feel about doing the show without a topic?
I love it. 100% love it. 100% love it, because you never know where the journey goes, and you start with a topic and you come somewhere else, and that's just going with the flow. I love it. Unscripted. I love it. It's really cool because you never know where you end up, and yeah.
But you know what I like about what you said? Because I think if we can take the foundation of this program and bring it into our relationships, many times we go into a conversation with an expectation. We want a certain result. We want to hear a certain thing. We want to walk away feeling a certain way, and we're disappointed. So if it could just be unscripted and authentic, but boundaries, there have to be boundaries, right? You have to say, listen, it can't go on for 5 hours. And if you start calling me names or screaming and yelling, that's how I feel. You might not like to be called names. I don't know. But I don't want to be called names. I don't want to be lectured, and I don't want you to try to solve problems for me. But just going in with an open mind, it's hard to do that. And we came into this show this exact way with no topic, not knowing where it was going to go. And I've had a lot of fun.
100%. I love it. But you don't have hold a script or something, have some question. I just go with life. And this, this is not fake. This is authentic, and I think that's what people really love is authenticity, because there is so much shiny fake on YouTube, on other channels, and I can't see it anymore. Yeah, there's so much blah blah. There's so much bullshit around. I like unscripted. 100%.
Yeah, I do too. So tell our audience what it is that you're doing when you're not hosting or producing TV shows, and who you can help.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. Well, at the moment, what I'm doing, I'm writing books at the moment. So I'm writing books. I published 2 books already this year. I finished almost 3 other books, so that should be published by the end of the year. So I'm writing books. I started to become an author. It was always a dream by myself, but my background is I had different businesses in different areas, and I had the chance to share. This is my books. Thank you. They're on Amazon and also other ones. So the first one is the Innovation Edge Business book. The content is, I have been trained this content in this book, thousands and thousands of people in different languages all over the globe. And this is a summary of my training stuff for a 2-week training program for salespeople. And the other book, the second one, Papa, Daddy, Where Are You? It's a German release by an Austrian publishing house. It's about 22 stories of different men and women, myself and friends of mine in 7 different countries, who shared their experience with a non-present dad. That's my books. And yeah, the Innovation Edge is coming soon as a German edition, and there are more books to come. So I'm an author at the moment, but my background is I was always an entrepreneur, and from that I could share my experience with many companies, big players in the world like Xerox, OpenText, and other big companies worldwide. That's what I was doing, and I stopped doing this since the pandemic, because there was no chance to travel. And then I started doing other things like hosting TV shows, producing TV shows, and writing books. But I'm still into, if somebody needs support, guidance, mentorship, I'm there. Just go to my website. It's available in German and English. It's my name, rolandfriedl.com. And the email address is office@rolandfriedl.com. So quite simple. Yeah, here's my email address. Thanks for sharing that. And who wants to contact me? Whoever wants to feel free. I think at the end, in this challenging time, it's all about sharing and caring and connect with like-minded people or people who need support. Thank you for that. And Dr. Jacalyn, I was thinking about, would be great to run this show longer than 45 minutes.
I'm thinking an hour.
Yeah, an hour or 2, maybe 2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you could be my regular guest. There you go.
Yeah, it would be cool.
No, I agree, because what we're doing here with no script, we could just be very authentic and go into a number of different discussions. But today I actually have a private advisory session that I'm doing because this is the first show. But you are welcome to come back every week. So this is where I will be every week doing this show. What are your last words you want to share with people for this episode? Why don't you tell people about the shows that you're doing too?
Well, yeah, thank you. Well, I still do with Dr. Jacalyn together in English, the It's Your Healthy Lifestyle Show, because we're both very into health and fitness. We want to stay fit and healthy. So thank you. Yeah, that's the promo picture, because we are writing books, we are hosting shows, we are running businesses, we are coaching. So health is very important for us. This is a show every Tuesday. It's 6 p.m. Central European time, meaning this is noon at the East Coast. That's the It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. And afterwards, I'm doing some German shows or German speaking shows. The Macher Talk. In English, it says the Doer Talks, because there are so many talkers. It's about doing things. Yeah, it's a business-related show. And afterwards, there's the Mutmacher Talk. It sounds a little bit similar, but Mutmacher means encourager. And the reason for the show is it's show number 28 on next Tuesday, because we started in September with this one, is we want to encourage people to have courage and to do whatever they want to do, to live the life they want to do, maybe change their job, change their relationship, start something new, whatever they want to into it. And that's the Mutmacher show also on Tuesday. That's my shows. And I'm very happy and I'm very proud to be part of this amazing team, because it's not just Dr. Jacalyn and myself. We have many others who are hosting our shows here. And here you can see our YouTube, USA Global TV and Radio. We have almost 110,000 or 109,000 subscribers. And yeah, follow us on YouTube, on USA Global TV and Radio, or on Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. So we're always streaming live, but if you miss a show or want to go back to another show, there are all our recordings are available on YouTube. Yes, that's us. Yeah, here you see the playlist, and there are many topics. So go in, and educate yourself, maybe about writing books, or maybe about business, or maybe about traveling, or maybe there's a cook show, there's a show about dementia. Maybe you have to take care about your mom or your dad who have dementia. So there's so much stuff you can learn. So I highly recommend invest your time really carefully, because you only have 24 hours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we can keep scrolling, but we've got over 12,000 different videos on here. So there's a lot for people to choose from. And I really appreciate that you have taken this journey with me. It's been a lot of fun. So I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday for It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. And hopefully you'll come back next Sunday and join me here.
It will be an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'll see you then. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's our show for today. So again, if you are not familiar with us, please do subscribe to our YouTube channels. They are USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. We're also streaming at a number of other places as well, and we will be distributed onto the podcast platforms. We'll have artificial intelligently created short clips that will go on TikTok and Instagram, and then our distributors will take us on other platforms like LG, Samsung, and Roku. So I appreciate you being here. I have 2 books that are coming out, I believe, on Tuesday, and I have one that just came out. So if you're not familiar with me, I've written 27 different books, and let me see, I'll just pull up my books so you can see them. And some of them are for children, some of them are for adults. But when I'm not here producing shows or hosting shows, I am helping people learn how to listen. And so I've gone around the world teaching listening skills. I've been to Greece, I've been to London, to Zambia, and of course in the US. Here's what I call my Bible of books, Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. And listen, people will always say, you know what, I'm a great listener. And meanwhile, they weren't listening to me the entire conversation. They were over talking me. They were double talking. They're trying to solve problems. So there's no judgment. It's just to be helpful. Then we have our Lady Ella and Lord Jack series, which is about kindness and adventures to help children. We have Holy But Harmful, the book that's Silent Sin of Judgment. So this is actually to familiarize us with when we are being judgmental or when people are judging us. So there's 100 different examples in here. And then if you want to take it a step further, there's a workbook that you can actually learn. There's the history of our platform, Broadcasting Brilliance, that tells you the story of how we were created. And then this is the first of our children's books, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. And Lady Ella is this ladybug that you see here, and she travels around the world, and she even goes into outer space to help children and their families learn how to listen. This is my newest children's book that's just come out, Lady Ella and Lord Jack and the Alley Cats of Greece, where listening leads to new friends. And so I do have a short clip to play for that. And then my other book that's coming out is really near and dear to me. This is My Tummy Hurts. It's a kid's guide to bellyaches and bathroom troubles. And I talk to you about the fact that I have ulcerative colitis. It's not something that I would wish on anyone, but I don't believe I would be where I am today because I started with a radio show to help people from the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. I'm on the board and I'm a volunteer to help them have a place to share their story. My first show was Stories of Hope and Inspiration and Overcoming Adversity, and it was booked out on the radio for over a year. So this book is in reference to that, to help children and their families understand. And then the next one that I have that's coming out is Stop Giving Away Your Value, Boundaries, Pricing, and the Business of Respect. This is for anyone who is consistently giving away their value. It's like someone calls you and says, well, how much is it? And you get nervous and you go, okay, let me see. I was going to charge this, but I'll just give it for this. Or you give things away for free. You got a free download, you got a free workbook, you got a free this, a free that. And then people don't want to come back because they don't see that you actually have any value because you've given everything away. But it's very difficult. We don't feel comfortable asking for our worth. And this might be more of a feminine thing than a masculine thing. Most women that I know that I've worked with, that I've spoken to, feel uncomfortable asking for what they're worth. They have a course, they're a keynote speaker, whatever the case may be, and the person comes back and says, well, we can't give you this, but we can give you that. And instead of standing your ground and being even willing to walk away, we sort of crumble and go, okay, I'll take whatever it is. I'm kind of desperate for this. We can never come from a place of desperation. So thank you again for watching. Thank you for listening. Last plug to please subscribe to our channels. And now I'm going to leave you with 2 very short clips. One is for My Tummy Hurts, and the other is for the Lady Ella book. Lady Ella is in Greece. Thank you again. I look forward to seeing you during the week for some of my other programs. And my team and I thank you for being here. Bye. My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends, and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, a kid's guide to bellyaches and bathroom troubles by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world.
In a quiet seaside town in Greece, where sunlight warms the stone paths and the sea whispers nearby, a new adventure begins. Lady Ella and her brother Lord Jack have arrived with an important mission: to teach kindness, patience, and the power of listening. In a hidden alley, a group of forgotten cats feel unseen and unheard, lost in silence and growing misunderstandings, until someone finally takes the time to truly listen. Because when we listen from the heart, loneliness softens, kindness grows, and new friendships begin. This is Book 10 of The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor book series. Find all Dr. Kerbeck's books on Amazon and in fine bookstores worldwide.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.